So welcome back to the channel. Today we have Marc Pettersson back. As you may have noticed, we have Marc before in one of our previous podcasts. He talked about the book that he published a couple of years ago. It's Key Account Rockstars. So if you haven't seen that episode, please check it out. Marc talked about the book. He introduced himself, explained why he wrote the book, and what takeaways he had basically on the role of key account management. So definitely I encourage all of you to check it out. So Marc, welcome back, and happy to see you again.
Thank you, JP. It's a pleasure. It was very inspiring the last time we spoke.
Wonderful. Today we're going to talk about key account in the context of AI. So a lot of things have changed. We discussed in a previous episode about that the role of AI was actually not present there because it was just launched actually right after the book was published. So today in today's episode, we would like to explore how the role of key account management has been impacted by AI. So I had a few questions for you, and maybe we can just discuss about, and I think people today, they're talking about AI in very abstract terms. And I just basically, from your perspective, do you think there's been a change in the way the key account managers work with AI? I mean, what is your impression? What have you seen talking to other people and companies?
Yes, with AI, leaving the hype aside, I think there's been a lot of tools helping the key account managers and the whole function as a whole. Key account management is split into several tasks that are overlapping with other functions. You have some that overlap with sales, communications, finance, analysis, communications. And there's a lot of tools in these fields that are also applicable to key account management. And there are also a few tools that are specific to key account management, let's mostly about account plans. So it's kind of interesting that what I've seen so far is there's a lot of tools helping a little bit of the job and doing a small incremental change. So there's nothing revolutionary, but the job is going to be a few percentage, I don't know, 10%, 15% easier if you use those tools correctly.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I would add to that, it's a confusion because there's a lot of tools, there's a lot of fields you can work with. And I've seen that for myself also as a challenge because these tools evolve, and to keep up with them and see what to focus on has been the critical part.
Okay. Yeah, I think one of the challenges is that many of the tools they have integrated AI. So I think what has happened before, let's say they use Salesforce and they have maybe a couple of other tools, and now these tools, in the last year and a half, they've now come with AI integrated. So it's basically making it lighter to use within that tool. It doesn't really go beyond helping the manager beyond that tool. It just makes whatever the manager was doing with that key account manager was doing with that tool a little bit better, like you said, 10, 15%. And I think that we can discuss that a little bit further, how maybe that's why there has maybe not been so much uptake from AI, because actually it's kind of concentrated in that specific tool only, and it's not really getting context from the other tools. Yeah. In basically, where do you see that KI, in your experience and what I've seen in the last year and a half, what do you think of all these tools that the account management role will be significantly improved with the use of AI? Is there a specific value that you think, okay, of all the things AI can do, here's an area where I think it will have a big impact? Maybe you have your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I think it's a broader impact that's going to have in some time, months or years, is the data collection, how you manage it. Take one tool which is recording and transcribing meeting notes, which is a lot of tools, Granola, Fireflies, and whatever they're out there, which means that you're going to have a bigger database of every conversation, every email, every interaction. And then these CRM systems are just getting more and more powerful. So they're going to analyze more and more data. And then with these agents, AI agents, you're going to have analysis done on them and then get output. So talk about account plans, Demand Farm and other companies are making this. Altissima is making these kind of tools that take all the data and integrate it. So it kind of facilitates the overall broad range key account manager job. This is with the current processes, right?
Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, I think definitely since there is a lot of interactions, key account managers have a lot of interactions with many different levels of the company with different companies, depending on how many companies they have assigned. I mean, it's really a tough job to really, as a person working on their own. And most of these people don't have secretaries. I think one of the biggest advantages now is they're able to capture meeting notes and transcribe them automatically and really help the manager at least make sure he heard correctly what happened in the call and actually that he's not missing any of the key points. And since everybody else gets the same information, it kind of saves a step for the sales manager to even sometimes send meeting notes because actually it's already been captured, and some of these programs like Fireflies sends to everybody in the meeting notes. So actually that's one less step. And I remember in my role as a key account manager many years back, I actually spent a lot of time doing this function. So I think this is certainly a time saver. It is not like a wow AI implementation, but it is really a very practical AI implementation that really helps. And if managers out there are not doing this, the many tools are doing a great job. Fireflies is one of them, but there are like 4 or 5 tools. They're all very similar. I think they should just play around with the one they like the most. And I think that definitely should bring it to every meeting. And of course, now everybody starts a meeting saying, hey, is it okay if the AI agent will transcribe? So I see that more and more and more. And of course, we have to, when we are having these conversations with these companies, that we before we bring the AI agent, at least we let them know, hey, we'll here's my assistant, and is this okay? I think that there are a lot of times very sensitive discussions are taking place that maybe the company is not comfortable that this is captured with an AI agent that is maybe sending information to certain parts of the world. And I think that's a point to be considered. Some of these key account discussions could be like top secret, new launches and things like that. Of course, that's something that needs to be managed. Cool.
Yeah, and I would add to that is really important because more information is going to be stored on servers, as you said, that you might not have control of. So the whole system is getting more and more complex. So the importance of an key account manager to both use the individual tools, but also to rely on the information, the department, whatever you have, a CIO or a CAIO, a person who can support with these kind of very complex technical question of how to manage data, how to manage tools, and also to piggyback on other functions tools, because the key account manager doesn't have to explore all of them themselves. The finance department is going to use some tools. The sales department is going to have the CRM tools and lead them. And the key account manager, I think, individual and board the department head, their responsibility is to pick the tools that are best for their business needs. You can't pick all tools because you're going to be overwhelmed. So you're going to see what is your critical need at the moment. And for individual key account manager, it will vary. Even in a company, some might have a weakness of writing emails, let's say communication. Then and LLM is going to help you formulate the email easily. You can get tools for that. Another might have struggled with analysis, and then you get an analysis tool to build your financial analysis. Third might do account plans. It all depends on the person that they do. So you have to be both picking what is your core weakness, I think, as a person, and then the department's needs, and then the whole company, how it implements an AI strategy. And yeah, if you're working for a company that doesn't have this AI approach, you might fall behind because it's to only do it yourself is going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, I agree. And I think also a point for those key account managers and senior account managers who are managing key account roles, I think it's an important discussion, not only internally what the company feels is the right tool to use for them, actually, but what is the impact of that tool in conversation with your customers? So I think that the customer should be taking into consideration for those companies that they have not made a decision yet. What is the right tool? Where is that tool storing information and so on? Just to make sure that the customer feels comfortable when we say, hey, we're going to use this tool to transcribe the call. just be rest assured that this is not sending information to all these places, and explain to the customer up front so they feel comfortable with that. So I think these are very good points to consider.
And there's another one interesting point. There are some tools now, I haven't used them, I've tested them, that analyzes meetings, the voice and the sentences and the semantics of a conversation to give the feeling, the mood of the conversation. So you might analyze this call and you're getting Marc is insecure or Marc is very secure, Marc is lying. And this is on the border for ethics. And I think that's going to be a big topic for the future, that if like you said, if your customer is comfortable or you are comfortable with that everything you do and write and say is going to be analyzed by an AI. It's a broader question, right?
Correct. There are several tools here, and I think you can Google them. Just telling the audience, there's several tools in the market at the moment. And I think that in the US, maybe the adoption is a little bit higher about these tools. But basically what is happening is that in some sales organizations, every sales rep needs to basically record their calls. So that is sort of and in some cases even mandatory that they record the calls. And then the AI will run an analysis of the call and actually give some feedback to the salesperson if the person was talking too much or too little. And actually that report goes to the manager, and then the manager is using these kind of reports, which are a group for his team, and actually as a way to give coaching if the person is really maybe presenting the product too fast or talking too much or really completely missing the points that the customer said. So actually, I think the next 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised there are going to be like mini agents assigned to every salesperson, and that agent is collecting data that is sending back to the managers and giving them sort of feedback as to the role. So I am not sure if everybody will like that. Of course, I wouldn't know as a salesperson if I'll be comfortable having every conversation transcribed and sent to my manager. But I think this is could be a potential way things will go. And I know some companies are already doing that. So if you're interested in any of these tools, they're available. I think they are very helpful for managers to really understand if people are having the right conversations. I think it's difficult for managers to really track the conversations they're having with customers. But I think, for example, what I will recommend in this case is that at least they should be recording the discovery calls or the first calls, not every call, but I think discovery calls, because it's been so important, the discovery call in the coaching framework, that I think that's worthwhile maybe do capturing that for all reps, because I think the feedback is not only good for the salesperson as well. Everybody can get some feedback, but also to give the manager maybe an idea of what kind of training or what kind of skills we can still provide the salesperson and support them. So cool. All right, let's move along. We have some other questions here we discuss offline. The AI in the daily work of the key account manager. So in all the activities, so we discussed one activity, which is calling customers and transcribing them. What kind of other roles or AI do you see in stakeholder mapping, internal coordination, strategy development? Do you see something there for AI?
Yeah, absolutely. For key account management specifically, the account planning and the stakeholder mapping are existing tools. And they take away a lot of work because they update them and do the manual labor so that the key account manager and the management of the team, the VPs, can see clearly what's going on at the customer organization. This has been a big part of the job, is to understand what the big customers, we're speaking about big customers that can have tens of contacts, and you need roles so that you can manage them properly. And this helps a lot. I would also add communication. This is a small tool. Everybody's using LLMs to write emails. And that's going to help because the quality of email is going up. Everybody's able to use for free in easy way a spell check and a small check of grammar. At the same time, you see when someone writes you an email in written by AI, it's impersonal. It has to be managed. So the best key account managers have to use the tools, but at the same time, put the added value on top of it. Same thing with account plans. If you just pull out an account plan from an AI, it's going to be sterile. And an account plan it's like a workout. Part of it is to communicate to stakeholders about the account, but there's also going through the work themselves of understanding the account, of digging the information, of questioning, of ruminating over things that they find. And if this is skipped and becomes an automatic click of a button, the key account manager will not know the customer as well. So I will be as managing a key account management function, if you automate too much to AI, your key account managers might lose touch with the customers and their job.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think one of the things that we always recommend our clients is that they need to train the AI in their products very well, and also on their customers. So, and I think AI has been used mostly, at least in most of our clients actually is doing some of the research, helping the account managers do the research, and also keep these trigger alerts from accounts. If you're handling many accounts, if you're the account manager who has only one account, okay, that's a little bit easier to manage. If you manage a very large account, like some of the OEMs in the automotive, for example, you may just have one account. But if you handle multiple accounts and you want to be on top of what is really going on, I think the role of AI in setting up these triggers, alarms as to what's going on with the account, that can really be helpful with AI. And to do a lot of, I think, basic research as stakeholder mapping. Of course, that cannot be done solely by AI, but I think the background research on each one of these stakeholders actually helps. Would you think?
Yeah. And I think Altissima is doing a great job at that, at taking all of these things and integrating it in the processes and making sure that the quality is high, and you still have the personal input, that you don't lose the personal touch.
Right. It's a combination of the human in the loop, and a combination of having the human in the loop, always looking at the AI, but also giving the AI the proper context on the company. What is that company that we're trying to sell to about? What are the use cases we can sell there? But also understanding that the AI agent also needs to understand every detail about your own product and how to present it in a way that brings value to the customer. It's not just random pieces of data, of features and benefits, but actually a structured way of looking at your products. All these things need to be taught. And I think that will increase the quality of the stakeholder management and the stakeholder mapping, and also as you mentioned, the developing the strategy for the company, because the AI will have good context. Okay, I agree. I think there is a huge role in time saving as well. Building those plans. This is also, everybody that has built those plans understands that they do take a long time. So,
and I think, JP, it's interesting what you mentioned there is the efficiency, because the jobs we are doing in the commercial field is 80-20. We are not looking for perfection. We're looking for efficiency, and to move forward with, when we have enough information, when the thought or the project is good enough, we move forward. So AI is today helping all processes a little bit. And the question is, what will the department and the key account managers do with the extra time they get?
Yeah. Okay. That is good. You save the time, and I think our recommendation there many times is just, okay, you have more selling time. If you really want to make more commissions and sell more, then that should free time, and they should use that time to generate more commissions or more income for themselves. If you're in the typical key account manager role, which is, you have compensation that is linked to your revenue sold. So I think that definitely that would be a huge incentive to use that time to do that, and not just, waste it somewhere else. So that's also a good point. What should companies do now with the additional time that the employees should have because of how these AI tools help them improve their daily work?
Yeah, and I think the two things to do generally is either to put more quality on the work, what you said, there's to more time, find more opportunities, and serve the accounts better, or which a lot of companies will do, which is a fact of business, they will reduce the workforce or add more accounts. So keeping the quality the same, with a lower workload, like a manpower per account.
Yeah, I think it'll be very short-sighted for companies to cut people. This will be a chance to really increase market share, because their sales team will be more efficient and more productive and more informed. So I think that the role here will be actually, I will give them more money in incentives. I will maybe increase the variable compensation a lot higher. If I was giving them 20%, I was maybe about to, the 10%, 30%, and give an extra incentive for the seller to use that time in the most effective way for them to sell more. And I think that they would like that. And we've all seen this research that only 30% is really spent on customer facing activities and 70% not. And I think that this could maybe move the needle and move it from 30 to 40%, that we spend another 10 points selling, talking to clients. And technically, theoretically, that should increase the win rates and additional opportunities. So I think there is a huge upside there for sellers who take advantage of the extra time. Cool. The one of the points that we discussed earlier in offline is the human side of key account management, which is super important. I always see these companies saying, okay, we're going to need less people because AI is going to take over. I think that in key account, they will be missing the mark because a lot of the work that is being done is actually developing relationships. It's a huge component of the key account manager. So since a lot of the success comes from relationships, trust, and influence, how do you see the balance evolving between the human judgment or human skills and understanding of the situation and what AI is giving them? Let's say is now doing AI-based stakeholder mapping and doing the strategy. And so what is the danger there?
Yeah, well, it's clear that this is one of the big question marks for what AI is going to do. How much is the human going to be in the loop? And like we spoke, that we save some time on all the processes today, all the activities a little bit. But at one point, they're going to be a revolutionize of some of these processes. And that's why I'm really following the customers. What is the buyers doing? What are the companies doing? Because they are also implementing AI in a similar way as a sales organization. So we are not in isolation of interacting with the same buyer now as in 5 years. And this is the most interesting part for me, because sales is always following the lead of a customer. If the customer say, I don't want to meet you, I want to have a call online, well, as a salesperson, you will adapt. If the customers say we're going to do an RFQ and we're going to run our whole business on a tender basis, you basically follow them. You have some influence, of course, some input and leverage. In general, we follow the customer's approach. And how these customers, the buyers, are going to implement AI, they're going to match what sales are doing too. And there's going to be a process that I can't say now because I'm following it. I'm waiting for that to happen. That at some point, or AI is going to speak with their AI maybe. And they might cut the people out of the loop somehow. That has already happened in the last 20 years with current analytics tools and platforms that they can use, that they're taking away some of the manual work of sales and buying the transactions and then putting into a strategic part. And I think the best buyers will do the same thing as the sales, is using AI to automatize tasks that are not value added, and then putting the effort into strategic thinking with strategic partners. And that's why I think key account management is going to be extremely important, because when the playing field is leveled because of AI for most of the work, those that stand out and are able to stand above and bring the human touch, which is strategic thinking, analysis, and communication and coordination, the core skills of a key account manager, those are going to stand out and have a special relationship with their key customers. And the customers are going to consider the supplier as key suppliers.
Yeah, I think that you bring a big point, because I think everybody's focused, okay, what am I doing to implement AI? Me as the person, X person in a company Y, X, and then, like I always think of, some of the key account people, I think, okay, what is my company doing around AI? And because, we need to implement AI. I think you bring always that point from, okay, what is the customer really doing with AI? Maybe we need to mirror that in a way that make sure that we are complementing each other's AI efforts. So maybe that's a way to look at before every organization, every key account manager, so every organization has key account management team. And before that organization starts thinking about AI tool, maybe the takeaway from this call is like, please do not forget to ask the customers as well, what do they think about AI and implementation of AI tools? And they should be also a part decision maker. And I think that that could be important. Going back to the transcription of calls, if I use a company that is storing this data somewhere else where the company that we're working with doesn't like, and that wouldn't make any sense. Then we will have to have then two systems. One system that I use when I talk to the company, and the other one is the one we use internally in the company. I think that that's always a great insight you always bring to the conversation. It's not what you are doing as a company, but what the company that you are selling to doing, and that actually is an important part. So I think that's a huge takeaway from today's episode, to really think about that, because that will be a time saver, and also I think companies will thank you for it if you're bringing them in the loop as well. And also, on the other hand, if you're ahead of the curve and you can serve, I think as a key account person, also serve as an advisor. Say, hey, in the company or in our company, we're thinking about implementing this. I know you haven't started anything. What do you think? Maybe you can also help them get started as well. Maybe you both get the same system, and so on. Great.
And I want to that key accounts are really partnerships. So we are not adversaries to the customers. And the collaboration, you said, it's not about implementing a technology that's going to hurt the customer. It's implementing something that's going to save both time and effort and improve the quality of the relationship so that they can win near their space, that they can beat their competition and grow the market share. Without this mindset, I think it's a short-sighted way of selling more, because this is not transaction, this is strategic in the end.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, very, very well said. Which parts of key account management do you believe must remain deeply human? Sounds logical, but I want to what's your take on it? I mean, what is the thing that we should not outsource to AI?
Must now or must in 5 years? It's hard. I was seeing things going that I thought were deeply human are moving into AI. At the same time, I see the shortcomings of AI that shows that today with the technology, you have to have a human in the loop. And I take just a small example. If you write an email, you give an AI agent a bot a task of writing an email. It sounds inhuman. It sounds cold. And you can't send this out, because if you start sending this out to customers, sooner they're going to feel it and you're going to lose the contact with them. So the human touch has always to be there. Plus, the quality of AIs are not 100% today, and they make big mistakes. So the key account manager has to check it every single time, whatever is sent out. The analysis has to be checked. Come to pricing, for example. Pricing is an area I haven't seen that much revolutionary AI tools in business to business. I think that's something is going to help, because the powerful CRM systems with an embedded analytics are able to analyze a lot of data that, again, we're going to get more and more of. And if you add that to the softer part that haven't been included, that how the customers have declined deals, where have we lost deals, where have we won deals, what have been objections, AI is able to analyze that very quickly. So pricing is going to be something that's coming in very, very soon. Again, here, the human has to be part of this. And if I would be a key account manager, I would really focus on trying to make my pricing more powerful by using AI combined with human interaction, including with human analysts and finance people.
I agree, 100%. Yeah, I think that's a good point to bear in mind. And I think it's all about communication. I mean, at the end, to wrap it up, in terms of, what should be keep this human touch and human way of working should stay human. Otherwise, the customer could think, okay, look, he's writing this, and it's just a lot of, it is not personal, and it has to be personal. I agree.
Yeah, give another example. Also, the key account plans, which are great, and there's going to be it's going to be easier. The threshold of making a bigger deck, more details, more information is going to be easier. So there's going to be more account plans. But if we all send it to the same manager who's supposed to read and digest these decks, that's not going to happen. So the manager also has to be using AI to analyze the decks. So at one point in the near future, we're going to say, we're not going to make decks because now we're making decks for other AIs to read internally in the company and analyze them. So you might shortcut this, and in a few years, a lot of these processes that we are seeing today as years old, been decades in place, and fundamental core human parts of a key account manager role or any commercial role is actually going to become obsolete because we are able to shortcut already until the conclusion phase or the recommendations phase.
Right. So you bring a very good point to the next part of the conversation, which is the practical advice for the organizations. In terms of, what will be recommendations that we could give to the audience in terms of, adopting AI, because what you said is what the future is, that will happen in the future, but of course we're not there yet. What are the steps that we can start taking now? So exploring AI in the organization, what should be kind of the takeaways that we should give as practical advice to the, so what's your take? I can give you some of my points as well, and then we can conclude the call on the topic.
Yeah, I think JP, you are more experienced and knowledgeable about this field than me, but I'm happy to give my takes first. Of course, it depends on the stage you are in. I guess that no one on this call is completely zero use of AI. We all use AI of some sort. If it's a ChatGPT or CRM or something else. So everybody has a minimum knowledge. And I think the best for an individual key account manager is to continue your own exploration. Notice, identifying your weaknesses that you don't like and you're not good at. The quadrant of what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you like and what you don't like. The quadrant that you don't like, you're not good at, try to automatize it, even if it's on your own expenses, but try to take that away from your table and focus on your strength. This is on your responsibility. And the department head is really to see what are the critical drivers of the business that we need AI in. Is the weakness in the business, the follow-up, for example, a lot of business have trouble following up on actions. Then focus on the AI, and the time for a person to implement it is fast. But the department, if you're driving change, you have to be very aware that it's going to take months. You cannot do too many changes. You have to pick your battles and then keep on it, and consistency. And it's not about the tools per se. You have to have good tools, but it's more important that you have the management intent and the leadership to implement it and make people believe in it. And that's, I'm sure that you have a lot of experience with this, because this is a commercial team as a whole. The same question is, and as a company as a whole for the commercial AI.
Yeah. I mean, what we usually take, in our first calls with our clients, the first take on it is basically to understand where the problems are. So before we talk about tools, where are the problems? Let's discuss problems. Let's list all the problems you have today. And then on the next column, we have basically where can AI help? Because AI may not be able to help in any of these points. And if we have, like, let's say they have 5 areas they want to improve and AI is nowhere there where it can help, then we shouldn't start with any AI. We should do something completely different. But if we spot in any of these 5 points where they want to improve, the AI needs to be a sort of a player in solving the problem, then that's where we go to work at. In general, every company is different and every customer has different needs, so it's difficult to really pinpoint, hey, you should do this or you should do that. I think what is really missing, and I give as a recommendation, is basically, like I just said, focus on the problem first, and if the problem can be helped or solved with AI, then do that. And if not, then there is no role for the AI. And if you need to implement AI, then I think we should follow a little bit what we discussed. Just make sure before you implement this AI, what's the impact with the customer? Maybe ask the customer, hey, would it be okay to implement this kind of tools? Are you fine? At least as a process question. And I think at the end, my recommendation, which I give to my clients, is AI, unfortunately, at the moment, is very siloed. And, you have AI in your CRM, you have AI in many other tools, but these AIs are not talking to each other. And the problem is that the agent, your company agent that is helping the account managers do a better job doesn't have the context of the different tools. They only have the context of one tool or the other tool, and is not in every tool. And this is the problem if the agent doesn't have the overall context plus the context that is given by the key account manager to the agent. What is the situation with the company? This stakeholder mapping. What are the current issues with the company? It all has to do with the quality of the information that we give the agent. But the agent, the starting point is there is multiple types of information that we give to the agent, and it's coming from different ways. But the more context that we give the agent, the more intelligence it's going to have, and the better the planning is going to be. And I think that the companies are trying to implement AI, and they have not unified the different tools into a common AI layer. I think that's going to be very difficult to really implement AI in any kind of way, because the AI agent just doesn't have the context of the different tools. So I think that will be job number one. Bring all the context together for the AI agent to make a good plan. I think that'll be my recommendation.
Yeah, and that's, I think, is emphasizing it, because there's a lot of tools now, and the landscape is changing constantly. So if we look 1 year before, it was completely different tools and different functionality. And 1 year from now is going to be very different, the landscape. So if you just run after small efficiencies or tasks, you're going to be lost and spend a lot of time and money in current flux and change. And that's not something that an organization can handle for a long time. So as you said, you have to go on a higher level, a meta layer, with someone who's knowledgeable of how to integrate these tools and what to focus on. Like, you have to have a real problem to solve before you jump into a solution.
Yeah. Bring all those streams of information to one place, so you can really take advantage of that. All right. Well, Marc, thank you very much. We're running out of time on our podcast this time. Of course, we will have another episode, I'm pretty sure. But I want to thank you for your insights and for being here. And I hope the audience got some interesting ideas on key account managers. Any parting thoughts you want to quickly tell us? And of course, you're invited to come back.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it and see. And also want to see with you how things evolve, how our predictions and thoughts here have panned out in the real world. Any parting thoughts on AI specific? I think key account managers will still be very relevant in the future. Hopefully in the long-term future, in the short-term future, definitely. And you need more focus on your strength if you're a key account manager. So focus on your strength and outsource your weaknesses.
Yeah. Sounds like very solid advice. All right, Marc. Thank you very much. Until next time. Bye.